took us 3 million years to produce 1 billion Homo sapiens, and that was in the year 1800. 200 years later, we have 5.5 billion Homo sapiens on Earth. Next century, we'll have 14 billion Homo sapiens on Earth. So any fool 100 years ago could have predicted that we would, in fact, cover the Earth with ourselves. But we actually cohabit the planet with 30 million other species. But we're very anthropocentric and egocentric, and we think we're the only species that really matter. After all, wasn't it said in Genesis that man was given dominion over the planet? And I guess that was taken by many of us to mean to rape, pillage and plunder the other species. So that now, of all the mammals on the Earth, 1,096 are threatened with extinction. That's 25% of the mammals on Earth. And 11% of all the birds are threatened. There's an exponential damage in what we're doing. It used to take, in my childhood, 2 men with a saw a week to chop down a tree. And now, within minutes, a tree can be chopped like slicing through butter with a chainsaw. And indeed, we are destroying the forest at the rate of 1 football field per second, which have made great profits for certain companies. We need a lot of trees to inhale the carbon dioxide we create by driving our cars. One way to reduce global warming, in fact, is to plant millions and billions of trees. And in the light of that clear and present knowledge, what we do is continue to level the trees so that we can blow our noses on them. Now, 2/3 of the world's species live in the tropical rainforests, and we're leveling them as fast as we can go. And even though people have worked for years to try and prevent deforestation, they've made little, if any, difference. What does anything matter except the stock market and the Dow Jones, which is top of the news every day, even though 10% of the people in this country own 90% of the wealth. And most people don't really give a damn about the Dow Jones, but it dominates the news because the news is now run by the corporations who deal in the Dow Jones averages. The values of society have been denigrated really to the 18th century, and as I look around, it's economic feudalism that we have now. It's like Russia during the time of the Tsars and the French during the time of the kings and queens. It's the let them eat cake mentality. Of the people who are billionaires in the world, there are now 358 billionaires, and they own as much as 45% of the world's people put together. That's wicked. That's wicked. Now, in the past, the people of France and Russia rose up and said, we don't want to eat cake. There isn't any cake to eat. And we're going to chop your heads off. And that's what they did in France. They chopped the heads off. In Russia, they did other things. But it's interesting because those people didn't have television and there was no electricity. But once a community gets electricity, then they have television automatically. And when they have television, then they can be brainwashed. One half of the people in the world live on $2 a day or less. That's 3 billion people. 2/3 of the world's children are malnourished and starving. We are destroying other species on the planet, but it doesn't really matter because the economy's doing well. What about the Congress? Who owns the Congress? Who put them into power? But the corporations. The people, you don't matter. You're just cogs in the wheel. You're just parts of the machinery so the rich can get richer and richer. Corporations have usurped the role of citizens, the very power to define and govern and make our common house a home. They fund our candidates, they write our laws, they create our culture through advertising. Look at our children. They control our healthcare options, they drive foreign and military policy, they own the media, and the media interprets all of it for us. And corporations make millions and millions and millions of dollars of unseemly profit. So when I talk about why the world is dying for profit and greed organized by multinational corporations. How on earth do we back our Congress, the governments, the parliaments of the world from these corporations? Do we care whether the world lives or dies? Do we really understand the multifaceted problem that as the ozone depletes and the earth heats up and there'll be epidemics of malaria and encephalitis and people will be getting skin cancers and melanomas and there'll be so many people, the earth will be seething with people. Do we care what the future holds for our children in 50 years? Or do we say, I'm comfortable and I don't really care, and I don't really care, and I don't really care?